Okay, out of all these embodiments on the floating paintbrush holder, again, I think embodiment D is the best. And I think if you couple that, which is seen in, Q14, Q13, you couple that with the lid, in Q15, I think that is a killer combination right there. I think that could really sell. And it's easy to demonstrate, um, on an infomercial, so it's got that going for it. And like I said, the little handle and everything, it's really just the simplest, best way of doing it. Um, and like I said, I think if you couple that with like Q30, I think that could, the paint stirring stick, I think that could really be a good combination, to actually run a full infomercial on. Alternatively, you could couple it like, Q or embodiment G, Q21, which, has some advantages because it's its own, paint strainer, which again, I don't know what that really is good for. But it also can support a paintbrush and a full can of paint. So, and you may be asking, why do people need two paintbrush holders? Well, it's good, because sometimes you need okay, when you're painting, often, you'll have like a master can of paint, that you use to fill up all your little paint buckets once you start running low on paint and you start generating more paint buckets. So you usually have a source bucket that you fill up the other little buckets that you carry around with you to paint, especially when you're doing a lot of painting. Now, with that main bucket, you could actually put this embodiment G in it. And again, the paint strainer part of it, I'm still not quite sure. I mean, there are times when, I can kind of see trying to fish something out of the paint or something. But I mean, other than that, I really don't get what a paint strainer is for. But the point is that you can set this in your full bucket, your main bucket of paint, and actually set the level of the paintbrush in it, because you got to do that manually. But you can hang spare brushes in, like a smaller brush that you might occasionally use, and keep it wet, and supple because it's dipped in the paint. But you're not normally using that, so again, you can just store that in the master paint can. That's one example of use. So these things, this embodiment G isn't necessarily competitive, but in and of itself, it could actually be sold like Home Depot or something. Particularly if you, put a little, the bucket rim hook that you see in Figure Q27. If you put something like that on it, that'll help it remain upright, because a little inclined to teeter-totter there on you as it is. So that wouldn't be a bad little feature to add to it. And of course, in these patents, all these features are interchangeable, so from one embodiment to the other.
This set of products, makes a pretty good collection to be all sold together, would be my advice. Now, of course, you'll have to spend a little money, and tool up on multiple products like this, but I think it could be a good seller. It could even be a staple product, in the end, as a collection in particular. So, a set of staple products, in other words, if they're sold as a kit, because I can see them even being at Home Depot, after you're done running them on infomercials, or Sherwin-Williams or, whoever, I could see them being sold like a set, like you see some paint pan roller sets being sold as a set with that and brushes. Well, I could see this being sold the same way, even in stores. But certainly, have individual sales potential too, to varying degrees, sold independently in stores. Again, if you ultimately want to take them to retail, because I know they're only going to have so much of a run on asking on TV, but it's still a great way to start out with them, because again, these products are very demonstrable. I think, and with so many of them, 30 to 60 second spots certainly, would be required. But and I think, too, late night, if you wanted to run a 15 or 30-minute spot, you combine this with a paint tote pan and charge more for the whole collection. Again, I think that could work, too, as an incidental. But as an incidental possibility that you might experimentally try. But at any rate, the cool fact is that I actually got on my short list several other painting devices that would go well with this too, but I can't tell you what they are because I just don't have enough room to patent them or time left to patent them. So it's going to have to wait for PPA 2. So, but PPA 2 will only come if PPA 1 is successful. So, but at the end of the day, I do have some complementary products, and if you're very, very interested in some of those, maybe I can try to expedite some of that. And actually, if I'm making some money off of it, I can do a shorter PPA 2 instead of trying to get all my money's worth out of it like I am here, because like I said, right now, $115 is a lot of money for me right now. And, but on the other hand, if I was, making some money off this, from some of these upfront, buy-ins or, the upfront price that I'm charging, then maybe I can afford to do a PPA with like 5 products in it or something like that. So, again, I do have quite a bit more IP on my, still left on my short list, but it's, at this point designated for PPA 2 because it just wouldn't fit in PPA 1. So I know it's going to have overruns. I know it can fit everything in here. Still amazing, being able to fit 83 products in this one, 100-page PPA. That was a real trick. 83 inventions anyway, or distinctive, distinguishable products. So anyway,